Okay, I got 7:02, so I'll call the meeting to order. I'd like to start with the pledge. Unfortunately, I don't have a flag in my room. If someone does, there, I see from the mayor, so we'll stand for the pledge. A moment of silence after that for the members of the armed services and the victims of COVID. Mary Jane, you want to lead the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
America,
America,
and
to
to
the
the
republic
republic
for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stand
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
with liberty
indivisible,
and
with
justice for
liberty
all.
and justice for all.
for all.
Okay, we've had a lot of people join. I'm just going to do a little quick housekeeping. The regular Board of Finance meeting will stay. Obviously, members of the council and mayor can stay if they want to. Members of the public also. After the regular Board of Finance meeting, there will be an opportunity for public participation. So with that said, Michael, do you want to go ahead with your presentation? Michael Van Deventer from Mahoney and Sable to give the audit report.
Okay, well, thank you very much and good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Mike Van Deventer and I'm a partner at Mahoney Sable, ultimately responsible for overseeing the audit for the town and issuing the reports on behalf of the firm. Joining me this evening is Samantha Thomas. Samantha was the senior manager on the audit, and Heather Seatman, who is a supervisor who was also heavily involved in performing the audit work. So we're happy to be here this evening to go over the audit results for the town's fiscal year 2020 audit. As in the past, I've provided and will share a presentation. So I think from an administrative perspective, what I'll do is I'll go through each section of the presentation. At that time, I'll pause and ask if there's any questions. And then certainly I'll leave some time at the end for any questions you may have.
Evening.
All right, can everybody see the presentation? Okay. As far as the scope of work, again, no change in the overall scope of work from what's been performed in the past. We did do an audit of the town's financial statements. We performed that audit in accordance with both the auditing standards issued by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, as well as the government auditing standards issued by the Government Accountability Office. In addition, based on the federal and state funding that was received by the town, we did also perform federal and state single audits. The federal single audit was performed in accordance with the Uniform Administrative Requirements, and the state single audit was performed in accordance with the Connecticut State Single Audit Act. In addition, we also performed an agreed upon procedures report for the school district. Again, there are a number of reports that are required to be filed with the state, and we do perform procedures that are required by the state of Connecticut Department of Education. In addition to those attest services, we do also perform a number of non-audit services for the town that consist of preparation of the financial statements, as well as the schedules of expenditures of federal awards and state financial assistance and related notes. We do also assist in the conversion of the town's governmental fund financial statements to the government-wide financial statements. In addition, we do also assist in the preparation of a couple of non-budgetary trial balances, which primarily consist of private purpose trust funds, as well as a flexible spending account. Essentially, in order for the firm to be independent and be able to perform those services, the town is required to designate an individual to oversee those services and ultimately take responsibility for them. Again, Greg, as the finance director, has ultimately accepted responsibility for those services, and we confirm our independence with respect to the town. I'll pause here and ask if anybody has any questions regarding the scope of work.
Anyone does, please raise your hand. If not, Michael can go on.
This next section goes over the audit reports that were issued. And again, we do issue a number of reports in connection with our audit work. The main report is the report on the financial statements. We did issue an unmodified opinion on your financial statements. Our report does cover multiple financial statements. It covers your governmental activities, your business type activities, which consists of your Water Pollution Control Authority, each of your major funds, which for the town is your general fund, your Waste Management Ordinance Fund, your Capital Projects Fund, and then the Water Pollution Control Authority Enterprise Fund. In addition, we express an opinion on what's considered to be the aggregate remaining fund information of the town, and that includes your Internal Service Fund, your non-major special revenue and capital projects fund, your private purpose trust funds, your pension trust funds, and your agency funds. So again, a lot of financial information is included in the financial statements. The report is, again, over 100 pages. And so all of this information is detailed out in either the basic financial statements or as combining statements in the back of the overall report. In addition to the report on the financial statements, we do also issue a report on compliance and on internal control over financial reporting. I do want to point out that we do not express an opinion on the town's compliance with laws and regulations or on the effectiveness of the town's internal control. Again, as part of the audit, to the extent we identify a material non-compliance with a law or regulation or a material weakness in the town's internal controls, we are required to include it in this report. And again, we did not report any such matters. In connection with the federal single audit, we issue a report on compliance and on internal control at the federal award level. In this report, we do actually express an opinion on your compliance with the major program. For fiscal year 2020, the town expended about $2.3 million in federal awards. The major program was the special education cluster over at the school district. We did issue an unmodified clean opinion on your compliance over that program, and we did not report any deficiencies in internal control over grant compliance. We issue a similar report in connection with the state single audit. For fiscal year 2020, the total state financial assistance that was expended by the town totaled approximately $14.8 million. The majority of that is considered exempt from our testing. The portion that is subject to our testing was $2.8 million. The major programs that were tested were the municipal grant and aid, the town aid road, and then the child daycare grant. We did issue unmodified clean opinions on compliance over each of those programs. And again, we did not report any internal control deficiencies over grant compliance. So again, in terms of the overall reporting, it was a clean audit from our perspective. Any questions as far as the overall reporting before I move to the financial highlights? No? Okay. All right, so the next section covers your financial highlights. Again, I would include anything in here that I think would be of importance to the members of the council and the board. This first slide goes over your budgetary highlights. Your original budget did provide for the use of fund balance in the amount of $250,000 to balance your revenues and expenditures. Your final budget did include additional appropriations of about $1.6 million, and that was offset by net appropriations that were carried forward from prior years in the amount of about $1.4 million, resulting in a planned use or decrease in your fund balance of about $518,000. Your actual change in fund balance was an increase of about $4.4 million. Your revenues were approximately $1.5 million more than budgeted, and that was driven by favorable collections on property taxes as well as state aid. Your overall expenditures were about $6.1 million less than budgeted, and that was driven by favorable variances across all line items in the department. I do want to point out that the education surplus totaled about $2.9 million, and that was authorized to be transferred to your reserves for fiscal year 2021 COVID-related costs. So again, when you look at the overall change in fund balance of $4.4 million, That is net of the education surplus, which was transferred for COVID-related reserves. And again, no budgetary compliance issues were identified as a result of our audit work. This slide goes over your governmental fund financial highlights. Again, the overall combined ending fund balance for the town totaled about 51 million, which was an increase of about 10 million from the prior year. Of the 51 million in fund balance, about 28.6 million is included in your general fund. That was an increase of about 4.4 million from the prior year. Of the 28.6 million, about 20 million is considered unassigned, and that is sufficient to cover about 2.3 months, represents about 19.4% of your fiscal year 2021 general fund budgetary expenditure appropriations. So again, that is within your fund balance policy, and that is around the guidance that is issued by the Government Finance Association, which recommends that governments maintain about 2 months of reserves on hand. Your Waste Management Ordinance Fund had a fund balance of about 13.9 million, which was an increase of about 1.5 million from the prior year. Your Capital Projects has a fund balance of about 175,000. That fund will fluctuate significantly depending on the timing of when bonds are issued. Overall, you did have an increase of about 1.8 million in the fund balance from the prior year, and that was due to the issuance of general obligation bonds to fund your authorized costs. Overall, your other funds reported a ending fund balance of about 8.3 million, which was an overall increase of about 2.2 million from the prior year. And that includes all of your special revenue and capital funds, and those funds have been either committed or assigned for specific purposes. The only fund balance that the town currently has a deficit in is the Century Brass Cleanup Fund. Currently is reporting a small deficit of about 39.9 thousand. That deficit does reflect a temporary deficit as an expected to be funded through future revenue sources. Again, so no significant deficits in any of your governmental funds that need to be addressed from a budgetary perspective. In terms of the internal service fund for the town, your overall unrestricted net position totaled about 3.4 million as of year end. That was a decrease of about 262,000 from the prior year. If you review the activity of that fund, it did decrease significantly from prior years, and that is a result of the town transitioning to the Connecticut Partnership Plan for health insurance. And then in terms of the government-wide financial statements, the focus of the government-wide financial statements is on really your long-term liabilities. Overall, the town is reporting a positive unrestricted net position of about 13.1 million. In terms of your net pension and OPEB liabilities, really no significant changes in terms of the overall funded status from prior years. The town net pension liability totaled about 16.6 million. That is currently around 79% funded using a discount rate of about 7%. Again, a well-funded plan is typically anything about 80% and above, and the town has consistently been around that 80% funded status. Again, as you continue to make your annual required contributions, that percentage should either hold or increase over time. In terms of your net OPEB liability, you do report a net OPEB liability of about 20.5 million. That liability is significantly higher because of the lower discount rate that is utilized. Because that plan is not well funded, you are required to use a lower discount rate to value those liabilities. Again, the town is primarily funding those on a pay-as-you-go basis, and no significant changes in the overall status of that liability from prior years. So again, gave you a kind of a brief overview of the financial statements. Again, I think in terms of the financial position of the town, things look very good. Any questions in terms of the overall financial highlights? I will add that if you do have any specific questions, again, I'd be happy to answer those after the meeting if you want to filter those questions through Greg.
Does anyone have any questions for Mike with regard to his presentation? Speak up, people, or forever hold your peace, as the saying goes.
I have one more section to cover.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mike. I thought you were finished. Okay.
Nope, that's okay. I just wanted to pause for a moment just in case anyone had any questions. So this last section goes over our required communications. Again, our communications under our auditing standards are really geared towards when the auditor experiences, issues during the course of the audit. Just to cover these items quickly, in terms of our responsibility under our auditing standards, although we do assist in the preparation of the financial statements, they are the responsibility of management. All of the information that has been included in the financial statements did come from the town. Again, it's our responsibility to perform our audit procedures and then issue our report on the financial statements. In terms of the plan, scope, and timing of the audit, again, no changes in the overall scope or timing of the work that was originally agreed upon. All reports were filed with the state by the 12/31 statutory deadline. I do want to, again, express my thanks to the mayor, Greg, and his team, as well as the Board of Education for their cooperation throughout the audit this year. I think on December 31st, when I kind of signed off from uploading stuff to the state, I checked the state's website, and just over half of the municipalities had filed their audit reports. So I think it was an accomplishment that again, we were able to work with the town and get the audit filed by the statutory deadline. In terms of significant audit findings, again, we do look at the town's accounting policies and practices. In terms of a new accounting standards, there were no new accounting standards that were implemented by the town. Subsequent to the pandemic, the GASB did issue a new statement number 95, which effectively postponed the majority of GASB statements by at least 1 year in response to the pandemic. So that was trying to provide some overall relief. So again, no changes in any accounting that was included in the financial statements. We do review significant estimates and judgments. These are really included in determining amounts that are reported in your government-wide financial statements. That includes estimated useful lives that are assigned to your capital assets and discount rates that are utilized to determine your net pension and OPEB liabilities. Again, we did deem those estimates to be reasonable and consistent with what other municipalities are utilizing. Happy to report that there were no significant difficulties encountered in performing the audit. In terms of uncorrected misstatements, essentially, if we're aware of a misstatement in the financial statements and it's not recorded or reflected in those financial statements, we are required to communicate that to you. There was a uncorrected misstatement that related to the understatement of grants receivables and related revenues in the amount of about $72,000 in the general fund related to COVID reimbursements. We ultimately deemed that adjustment to be immaterial to the overall financial statements. So ultimately, you will reflect that as unbudgeted revenues in your fiscal year 2021 budget. And it was primarily a timing issue in terms of when the town identified that amount as a reimbursement. Happy to report that there were no disagreements with management. We did obtain a management representation letter. And again, there was nothing unusual in that representation letter that we're required to inform you of. And we were not aware of any other consultations by management with any other independent accountants. So again, ultimately that concludes our communications in the presentation. So again, I'll open it up for any questions. And if not, again, I'll be happy to answer any questions once you've had a chance to digest the information.
Go ahead, Diane.
Thank you, Walter. Mike, I picked up my audit report close to noon today and got about halfway through it, the big book. And on page 14, at the very bottom, I have a question for you, if you can pull that up. I'm happy to read it aloud.
Sure.
Okay, it's under debt administration. And paragraph 2, which is the last one, says here, state statutes limit the amount of general obligation debt the town may issue to 7 times its annual receipts from taxation as defined by the statutes. The current debt limitation for the town is significantly in excess of the town's outstanding general obligation debt. That looks like bad news to me. Can you explain what this means?
Nope, that's actually good news.
Oh, it's good news.
Yes, so the current debt limitation, and again, the limitation is how much the town can actually issue in debt. So that limitation is significantly in excess of your outstanding general obligation debt, which means you have significant capacity to do additional borrowings.
I looked at it exactly the opposite. Thank you so much for the clarification.
Sure.
Can you tell me
Mike,
what, if we're allowed 7 times, what are we at right now?
So there is a schedule of debt limitations that is included in the financial statements.
Okay.
So I will go to that schedule for you. And can you all see the financials on my screen?
No,
No, Michael, that's what I was going to tell you.
I think I have to share a different screen.
Yes.
Give me 1 second. Okay, you can see the financials now?
Yes.
Okay, so the statute limit the amount of debt that you can issue for different purposes. So there's general purposes, school purposes, sewers. Each of them has their own debt limitation, which are these amounts here. Overall, the total capacity, again, 7 times your base, is about 585 million. Whoops. For which the town's present indebtedness was about 55.9 million. So you have about an additional $529 million in debt that you could authorize under the statutes.
Oh, that is good news. Thank you.
And I would hope that you would not approach that amount.
No.
No plans to do so.
Walter?
Yes, David, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I have this correctly. At the end of the year, the town had approximately 4 million plus at the end of the year balance, correct?
The net surplus for net budgetary surplus was about 4.4 million.
And for the Board of Education around, it was, I believe, 2.9. Is that correct? Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And the Internal Service Fund was at 3.4 million.
Correct.
And there weren't really any withdrawals from that other than for, well, at the budget hearings. Is that correct?
Correct. And I think there's still self-insured for dental.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, that's running through there as well.
Okay. Thank you.
So people know, Michael, when you're sharing the screen, I have to scroll through each individual on here to see if someone's got their hand raised or has questions. So it may take me a while to get to people if you got their hands up. So far going through, I don't see any other people with questions. If you look at the bottom of your screen, there's reactions. You could click on that and there's raise your hand, but I don't see any hands raised, or even those that I have video on, I don't see anybody waving. So as I said before, if nobody has any questions more for Michael, I will entertain, I'll go through the list one more time. If not, then I will make a motion to adjourn the joint Board of Finance and Town Council meeting.
Mike, I just
Going
want to thank you
through.
and your team for the great job you do every year.
Yes. Yes, Michael, we definitely appreciate what you and Samantha Heather have been doing for us a number of years now. No argument with that. I don't see anybody else. Mayor, do you want to say anything?
Just thank you to Mike and his team and for all their hard work, and our board of, our Greg Asapato and his team for all working together to come out with this budget program that we all can see. And it's a testament to the town and our employee base on both the Board of Ed and the town side.
All right, from the Board of Finance members, could I have a second to my motion to adjourn? And
A
you-
second.
okay.
Second, this is Barb.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Mayor, do you want to do the same for town council?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can I have a motion from a council to adjourn?
So moved.
And we have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, as I said, we will shortly join the normal Board of Finance meeting. Those who want to stay, that you're welcome. If not, you know, you can just hit your little leave button at the end, and we'll give a minute for that to happen. Anybody have any questions? If not, we'll start that meeting in a few minutes. We'll give a chance for people to make arrangements. Okay,
Thank you, everyone.
okay.
Thank you.
Bye, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Samantha and Heather also. Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's see you again from last year. Okay, Mary Jane, you gonna stay? Dave,
I
you
am
gonna
a
stay?
little while, yeah.
Okay, Dave, you gonna stay?
Good night. I'll talk.
Okay,
I'll be in touch, I'm sure.
yeah, we have some work coming in the next couple of months, for sure. Okay, since we started everything with the pledge, we won't go through that. Board of Finance basically has 5 items on the agenda. The first one is a request to transfer $110,000 from an account determined by the Director of Finance to the New Milford Ambulance account as determined by the Director. That's a motion the Chair is going to put out. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all right, discussion. Anybody have questions? Mayor, do you just want to give some background on that?
Yes, spoke with Donna, who's here, and I think Jack as well. Due to COVID-19, most of our membership at the ambulance corps are of an older age, and because of COVID, there's a hesitancy for them to go on those calls, especially COVID calls. So we've had a reduction in manpower. So there's going to be needed a third shift to help our residents, especially those in need. So we came before the town council and it was unanimously approved at the council to have this additional funding so that the ambulance crew can hire an additional crew for service. Did I leave anything out, Donna?
Nope, you're right on, sir. Thank you.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Does anybody have any, members of the Board of Finance have any questions for Donna or for the mayor on this item? Okay, then we'll vote on the item. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, the motion carries. Item 2 on the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Request a transfer from the recycling account 104-30102-5100 in the amount of $80,166.80 to the DPW account 104-30100-54014. Greg, do you want to speak to this? So people understand what's going on here? And can I get a second on that motion from the chair?
Second.
Thank you, Diane.
Yes, this was a request to transfer money from the recycling account to the DPW grades 1 through 4. When the operations for recycling had ceased, the employees, several employees from that operation were transferred to the DPW department. And it's basically just transferring their budgetary salaries over to cover their pay, actually. That's all it is.
Okay, so it's essentially it's an internal transfer from one
Yes.
budgetary line to another to reflect the changing and the recycle center now being contracted out.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, Amy.
Hi, I just had a quick question. I was looking at the code. I couldn't find it in the budget. I was just wondering, is it a typo? Is it 51014? It's personnel grades 1 to 4?
That should be in the report. Yeah, I didn't see that, but
I'm fully supportive of it. I just want to make sure we have the right number.
let's see.
Amy, I think you're on number 3. If you're talking about the 505 numbers there, that would be the next item on the agenda. We're looking right now at item.
No,
Oh, 51014, you're correct. 51014. The numbers are transposed.
Now I see where you're talking.
51014. Yeah, the 4 should be a 1.
okay.
Yep. Don't worry, I'll get the money in the correct account. No doubt.
No, I know you will. I just wanted to make sure if
No,
it
you're
required us
correct.
to actually for the motion.
You are correct.
Good catch.
Any other questions? Discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote on the motion. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right. A motion from the chair, item number 3, transfer $27,000 from account 1041-4200-52600 to the volunteer fire account number 5053-000-53212 towards the purchase of a fire rescue truck.
I'd like to speak to that if I can, Mr. Chair.
Yes, and if Richard also, I see Chief Squires is here. He's also invited to
So I'm
speak.
speaking with Chief Squires, who will tell you there's rescue number 22, which is the next fire apparatus that's in line due to the capital plan. Due to COVID and due to the increased costs borne by steel shortages and equipment shortages to make the vehicle. When it was brought forward, there was a cost increase of about $27,000. So to get the pumper and to allow Chief Squires to sign the contract, we need an additional $27,000 to do that. The town council voted to do that and moved it over to the Board of Finance. And I'm sure Chief Squires can opine more on that than I can.
Yes, we started looking at this vehicle approximately 2 years ago. And at the time in the capital fund, there was $380,000 allotted for this truck. When we started looking at it, most of the vendors kind of not really laughed at that, but said, you know, it's going to be very hard to come into that number. This truck is a rescue truck. It's pretty much a big toolbox on wheels. You know, there's no, we didn't go with a lot of bells and whistles. It just is, you know, like I said, it's a big box with a lot of compartments in it. We do have a generator on it. That's one of the bigger, you know, dollar amount items on this truck. We did save some money because over the years, we used to have hydraulic tools, the Jaws of Life. We have been slowly switching over to battery-powered tools that we've been able to purchase through town funds and also through donations. A couple years ago, we had a donation that we were able to purchase 2 of these tools. So if we had to put the hydraulic pumps on there, we would have been, another $55,000 to $60,000. The committee, which I sat on, kind of as an oversight, they worked very diligently to keep, our costs down, and there was just no way of getting it down to that 380. When this came in, once we had the contract looked over by the lawyer and stuff, it got close to the holidays. The vendor had put a date of the 31st of December as a final contract signing without a 5 to 6% increase after that date. We did work with the vendor and they guaranteed that, price to the end of this month. So, the price wouldn't go up another $5,000 to $6,000. So I believe, myself and the committee have diligently worked to save all the money that we can, but also have a apparatus that is going to support this town and the fire department moving, forward for the next 20 to 25 years. The apparatus that we're retiring is approximately 28 years old, so it has served its purpose. Again, any questions, please ask.
Chief, this is Walter O'Connor. Question,
Yes.
what's the total price that you're paying for this vehicle?
I believe you're asking what the total cost of this vehicle is? Yeah, the total cost is going to be, one second, it's $406,826. There might be a couple dollars over with that 27K, just because there might be something that we've missed in the specs or that we need to change or add. But I don't see any real major changes on the vehicle. Just to give you an idea, last time, the last engine we bought through with the capital funding was $378,000. The department, actually, we had an overage of about $1,000 that the department itself picked up, from our funds. That was not capital or from the budget, was actually through Water, which paid for that. Again, this past year with the COVID, our fundraising was down. We weren't able to do a lot of our fundraising, and even moving into 2021, until the summer, we probably won't be able to do any of our barbecues and other fundraising that we do. With the last 2 trucks that we purchased with the tower that, was a grant, and also the last engine that was bought through the capital fund, us as a department, we spent about $50,000 bringing up them trucks to the NFPA standards. And again, moving forward, to sign this contract and not have the money available would not be a responsible thing on my behalf. So that's why I had to come and ask for the additional $27,000.
Anybody else on the Board of Finance have any questions? If
Hey,
not,
Rich.
Go ahead, Trevor.
You said the ending increase was frozen until the end of the month, so this is. gonna be an
Yes,
urgent-
yes, yeah.
Bottom
So
line
I'll be able to sign the contract then.
This is an urgent ask, I would say too.
Yes, and it was it was unfortunate with all the timing and then the holidays. Some of the speccing out of the truck was delayed because of COVID. We were doing remote meetings and all that. It's kind of hard sometimes to build a truck over the internet.
If there's no other questions, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much. I'm going to jump off because I'm actually missing training with the guys. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief.
The good news.
Thank you.
Mary, do you want to say something? No, I saw you.
No, sir.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is Finance Director's Report. You want to go ahead, Greg?
Yeah, sure. Good evening, everyone. This is the finance update for December. The mayor and I are in the process of reviewing the departmental budget submissions. For the next 2 weeks, we will be meeting with department heads to discuss their budget submissions. The mayor's recommended budget will be distributed by the third Tuesday in February. The mayor and I have also been having regular meetings with the Board of Ed to discuss budget as well as other financial matters. Expenditures and revenues. Expenditures on a cash basis are at 52.9% of budget. On a straight line basis, they are expected to be at 50%. Salaries are within budget. There's an overage in the IT department that results from an anticipated cost sharing check to be forthcoming from the Board of Ed for Munis that will rectify this situation. I'd like to give a shout out to Chief Ceruto for keeping his overtime and dispatchers overtime within budget. Great job, Chief. On the revenue side of the equation, revenues are at 52.3% of budget. Taxes overall are at 56.3% of budget, with current taxes being at 56.9%. I've been meeting with the tax collector each day to review January receipts, and I'm pleased to say that January receipts have been robust, and at last check are running approximately $700,000 ahead of this time versus last year. As before, aging, youth agency, fire marshal, and park and rec revenues are lagging. The hope is that as the COVID vaccine gets rolled out to the general public, these revenues will rebound around spring as life will hopefully get back to normal. Overall, on a cash basis, expenditures total $50,343,036.96, and revenues total $54,305,345.48, leaving the town with a positive cash flow of $3,962,308.52. Questions?
Greg, just to clarify that, those numbers were of December 31st?
Yes.
Okay. Any of the board members have any questions for Greg?
I mean, I just have.
Go ahead, Trevor.
I guess it's more a question like slash comment. I guess Rich or the chief kind of hit it on the head. I think anybody that's kind of relatively dependent on fundraising and any type of fees are definitely going to have to be considered, right, throughout this budgetary talks and meeting with the department. So I'm sure you guys have thought of that, but I guess there's going to have to be some creativity done to let these guys kind of keep rolling with the punches throughout the year.
When you say chief, you're talking about the fire chief?
Fire chief, yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah,
well, things are going to get better and not worse, Trevor. I mean, they're rolling out this vaccination, so everybody's going to keep their fingers crossed, of course. Our like I said, our revenues are lagging, and while we're still in a great financial position, if things, if COVID wasn't around, we'd be in a much better financial position. But I have no complaints at this point in time.
Yeah, well done. Very excited about the police department.
Since I've been here, that's the first time I was ever able to say something like that. So, kudos to Chief Ceruto, really.
Really.
Doing a fine job there. He turned that around nicely.
Agreed. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Greg on the financial report? If not, I'll move on. Okay, and next on the agenda is public participation. I see we have some people in the public here. If anyone of the three of you that are still here want to speak, just, raise your hand and unmute yourself. If not, then that's the last item on the agenda. I'll call for adjournment. Have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mrs. Blackman.
Second for the motion is what I meant to say, sorry. All those in favor for adjournment?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Everybody, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.